What is going on, guys? I'm in the shop. It's very late. It's been a couple days since I made a video. I usually don't come out here this late, but lately I have come to realize that I get a lot more done if I come out here kind of late by myself. It's nice and relaxing. The car is broken down a little bit. I got all the aero off. If you haven't been tuned in lately, you probably wouldn't know that most of my aero is pretty much destroyed. Bottom of the back bumper, top of the back bumper. This is like paper thin from rubbing on walls and shit. It's cracked up there, cracked here, broken here. That might be it. Anything on this side? Yeah, a couple little things up there, but nothing much. Fenders have a couple cracks in them, and the front bumper, Princess, watch out. This front bumper took some abuse, was broken in half. So all the arrows off. The rear overs are good, so those are just gonna stay on. But I'm gonna order a new kit and get that sprayed. And I'm gonna order a new hood also. And I'll tell you why I'm gonna order a new hood. And this video is pretty much just going to be me explaining what I'm going to be doing in this time, the off season essentially, and what my plans are for next year. So it's going to be some talking, but it's interesting, and I hope you guys stay and watch. So plans for the car, I actually swapped out my thermostat yesterday. I swapped it for this Mishimoto 160, and basically my reasoning for this, the stock Corvettes run at 230 degrees. That's a running temperature. And my car, it is not a Corvette, and it's the engine's not stock, and it doesn't really like to see temperatures over 210. Now, the stock thermostat opens at 190 degrees, so it doesn't start flowing that coolant until it's already so hot, and it's really hard for it to catch up with itself. So I swapped it out for the 160. It's in there. I didn't film it. I'm sorry. I did it yesterday. I was just kind of listening to music and doing my own thing. I went and picked up some distilled water, put that here. I'm going to add some water wetter, and I'm going to bleed that out, so you guys are going to hear the car run in this video, which would be kind of cool. The dogs are fighting. So the things I'm going to do to the car in the off season, I'm going to replace the water pump. I'm going to do a different intake manifold. This intake manifold, from what I hear, is more for a turbo mode application. Our numbers weren't super good with this manifold, and Holly told me that when I had asked for it in the first place, but I kind of went against it, and I was like, well, it sits low, it looks cool, I'm gonna go with it. I kind of regret that now. I wish I would have went with the Holly high ram, which is what I'm gonna replace this with. So I should have that in, I don't know, a couple weeks. We'll have the high ram. I'm gonna do some different injectors, and just to make sure that shit is, you know, fresh and new. I'm also going to order some spare parts, spare ECU, spare harness, spare coil packs, spare injectors. Try and have spares of everything, because next year, it's on this whiteboard right here, but I can't show you guys, unfortunately, because there's a lot of info on there. But I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff nationwide, lots of events, so you guys will be able to come out, get rides in the car, hang out, pick up merch, do whatever. It's going to be a lot of fun. But when you're doing these big cross-country trips, first of all, it takes a lot of tires. Probably going to use upwards of 200 tires next year. You think 14 tires per event, you do somewhere between 10 and 20 events. It's about 200 tires. So we need tires, and then you want to have the spare parts, because if you drive to California to do an event, you want to make sure that if something breaks, you have that spare part there right then. You can replace it. And this brings me to my next point. So next year, the plan is to hit 10 big events. Now we're gonna do obviously some other like random stuff and local stuff in between those, but 10 big ones that we're gonna have to travel to. And between driving to events, driving the car, doing media, like making these videos, editing them, and doing everything else in between, working with sponsors and making sure that we're delivering on our deliverables to them to make sure they're happy, I would like to hire a mechanic. So I know a lot of you guys are good with cars. You've worked on your own stuff. Maybe you do it for a living. I'm looking for a mechanic to basically handle my car, Orion's car, the 2 trucks, and the 2 trailers next year. And maybe we'll hire more than one person, but as far as I'm concerned, I think one person could probably take care of it, and we'll obviously help out, you know, as well. But somebody to change tires, change oil, rebuild hubs on the trailers, lots of stuff. And I think that, you know, we could come up with a solid pay. So if you are interested in doing this, and it's something you can do, we're probably going to spend about, between the months of April and September, a total of a month and a half on the road. So if that's something that you're capable of doing and it fits your lifestyle and everything you've got going on, email me. It's just calebquanbeck@gmail.com. Send me a resume, some contact info, and maybe a little bit about yourself, and I'll get back to you and see if we can work something out. I think it'd be cool, and it would help me out a lot. Moving on, if you have an S14 Kooky and you are good at fiberglass stuff, this thing is going to be really hard to save because there's been a lot of cutting and stuff. But this hood is for sale, and that Origin stylish kit for the S14 Kooky is for sale. It's pretty beat up, but I've seen a lot of stuff be fixed, and I didn't think it was fixable with fiberglass. So if you think you can fix this, you can fix that hood. The side skirts are absolutely perfect. There's nothing, no cracks on these side skirts at all. They're perfect. But if you're interested in this stuff, DM me on Instagram. Local pickup only. I will not ship it, but it will be extremely cheap. If you guys haven't noticed, I cleaned the shit out of this shop. And I set up my own little station over here because there's going to be a lot of work done to the car over the next couple months. So I set up a little makeshift bench with some scrub tires, another little bench. The car's on jack stands, obviously. And then over here, some spare parts, different springs, some corner lights that you guys always tell me to put in, I never do. Those are them right there. Still not putting them in. Spare clutch and brake lines, some fans, spare, what are those, coil packs, valve covers, and spark plug wires. Some fluids. Oh, these are those new NRG. Here, I'll open one up so you guys can see. I've talked about maybe doing a giveaway. Haven't decided when, but these are the new reinforced NRG steering wheels. So I've got a few of these, and well, I can't show it, but a few of these and quick release hubs. So yeah, I might do a giveaway. Some Quan Gang merch, more spare parts, spare exhaust, Antoine Dixon skateboard, and my new bike. So I'm pretty happy with the way it looks in here right now. It's comfortable, it's organized. There's a lot of shit over here. This is mostly Orion and Chow's, but they are, you know, doing their thing. They're busy. They're actually selling a 1J, so if you're interested, hit them up. Usually when I bleed this coolant, I'd like the rear to be a little bit lower or have an expansion tank, which I don't have one, but it's all good. We're going to bleed it out. So let's start this bitch up and let this coolant flow through here and get this thing running nice and cool once again. it's so much quieter in here now. And I had the bay door open, but it's still like the exhaust fumes are making my eyes water. So that's all done. And cool, stoked. I made a little bit of mess. You can see some water on the ground right there. But I've been meaning to put that in for a long time, and I should have done it before my trip. But I actually didn't really have any problems with overheating. Actually, it never overheats. I always talk about it getting hot. And when I say getting hot, it's just that the hotter your car gets, your oil pressure tends to drop a little bit. And I don't really like that. And I think that if I can get the car to stay at around 200, it puts the oil pressure right where I want it. And it's all good. So running, driving, drifting, we want it right at 200 all the time. And I think this is going to do it. I'm stoked. I'm also going to put the Radium Engineering expansion tank on for the coolant also once my new water pump comes in. I'm not changing a lot this year, like I mentioned, you know, just probably a couple little things and lots of spare parts. I want to give a big thanks to like all the brands that helped me get the car where it is right now, because without them, this wouldn't be here. Like the car would not be where it is right now. And also the fact that all of these brands like are even investing more into what I'm doing next year, it's going to make a lot more possibilities of like open up for me to go do things. And I can't believe it. So super grateful to the brands, Holly, Earls, Hoonigan, Koenig, Harbortown Fab, BC Racing, Mishimoto, NRG, Radium. I don't think I'm forgetting anybody. But yeah, oh, I'm actually gonna spec out some new coilovers this year, which will be dope, and have 2 sets so that if somehow, I mean, it's very rare that you break a coilover, but there's a chance that could happen. So it'll be nice to have a spare set. And then definitely need a spare set of Wise Fab because shit can happen. I got pretty lucky. You can see down there, everything's still pretty good. I almost rubbed through this brake line right here, so I gotta set the bump stops. That's for sure. Somebody actually asked me about this brake line here, how it's kind of close to the header. That's just, it was closer before and I actually fixed it, but I might even try and put another little bend in it to bring it closer to the shock tower to avoid any sort of, you know, overheating the brake fluid. Oh, you see how this one is? This one looks way better down there. So yeah, oh man, I'm stoked. I'm stoked for next year. I'm so excited. I'm excited to get this car back to 100% and with better parts. I learned a lot with the parts that I did have this year and things that might make my setup a little bit better. Still trying to figure out a tire situation. Like I said, we're gonna go through a lot of tires. New Aero. My old stuff's for sale. If anybody wants it, it'll be cheap. Fucking DM me on Instagram. And I'm gonna be picking up a new trailer here in the next month or so. I used to have that 24-foot enclosed. Most of you guys probably remember it. I had a couple actually. And 24 feet is just not enough, unfortunately. When you're bringing a lot of spare parts, tires, wheels, the car, sleeping stuff, like it just gets too packed, and it's not cool. So if you watched the video where I was with Rad Dan at Desert Mahon, I looked inside of his trailer, and he has the craziest, coolest setup. All of his spare parts are basically like, they're on the wall, but they're on a wall with like a grate, and each part is zip tied to it. So he has it like broken out to like rear suspension parts, front suspension parts. I don't know what else, but a lot of coilovers. He has everything like zip tied to these racks, and that frees up a lot of space, because otherwise what a lot of guys do is they put them in like these totes, like me. I have all my spare parts in these totes, and I take that around with me. But those totes take up so much room on the floor, you lose a lot of floor space. So mount everything to the wall. And also I'm gonna try and have somebody build some tire racks, something that fits like at least 16 wheels, at least. I think that's gonna do it for today's video. I mean, some garage talk, car talk, 2018 talk, I wanna hire a mechanic talk, buy my old broken Aero talk, and these next few months are gonna be really exciting, getting new products, working out everything with my sponsors. I'm really excited. So I hope you guys are, and you guys are excited to be a part of this. And also Brad Dan hit me up and told me that a lot of you guys went over and checked out his channel and subscribed, and I think that's awesome. He's a good dude, and I think his channel has a lot of potential, and it's cool to see the behind the scenes of like an FD driver instead of somebody like me. It's just like a grassroots driver. So it's something different. Go check it out if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.